Hi, I'm Jonathan Weinberg. Um, Lately, I've been doing some videos that are maybe a little bit critical of some of the decisions or experiments at the Pelikan pens has made. And I wanted to do a fairly quick video just talking about my favorite pen, which is a Pelikan pen. This is the 8 M800. It's actually an older version. I got it used last year. It's from 1997. I know that because it has this brass uh, fitting on the end cap, which the contemporary model doesn't have. And yet at the same time, it has an 18K nib, which supposedly they only did in 1997. So that makes it a little different from what they do now. The 18K nib actually is what you get now. But the earlier model from the 90s had a 14K nib. So for only 1 year did they have the little brass ending and the 18K nib. And this pen just writes like a dream. It's very smooth. It's beautiful. I love the classic Pelikan look with the stripe green cellulite barrel, and it's translucent so you can kind of see the ink in it. It's really pretty. The nib is two-tone, gold and silver, so the nib is really beautiful. And then the other thing to say about it is, to me, it's the perfect size. So the interesting thing about Pelikan is it's a little bit like Goldilocks.
Breakfast. Oh, that's too hot. I'll put some milk on this one. Oh, Pa, that makes it too cold. This one looks just right.
And it tasted just right, too.
So as I say, it's a bit like Goldilocks. There's the M1000. And here is the M800. A bit smaller. Here is the M600. And we could and here is the 400, actually 405. And you can see that instead of there are 3 bears, there are 4 bears, and these are the 4 sizes. I think the size of the M800 is the perfect size, but you may different. I think the M600 is okay. The M1000 is a little big. I enjoy it. To me, the smaller 400 size, which is a gold nib, and then you get the 200. They're both the same size. Is a bit small, but they're all beautiful pens, and they all write really well. But I think for some reason the 800 pen is really marvelous. Now recently I just got this pen, which is a more contemporary version of the 800. And what's great about this pen, it has a cursive italic nib. It was originally, I believe, a double B broad nib that was worked on by John Mottishaw. John Mottishaw of nibs.com, and made it into a italic cursive. And this also writes both as an italic, which sometimes are a bit scratchy, but is absolutely smooth, and it is just a dream to draw with. It has this lovely blue celluloid, which I like very much. And anyway, these are just dream pens. It's hard to describe why they're so nice. I think they're incredibly elegant. Of course, they all have the clip that is made to look like the beak of a pelican. They all have the pelican on the pelican on the top, and a chick. This one has, it seems to me, it has 2 chicks, and sometimes they have 1 chick. This is the M1000. It is it is not, instead of being black and gold, it is just gold on the top here. This one's black and gold with the chick. The M800, Pelikan started making them actually in the mid 80s, and its distinctive striped barrel, the so-called Stresemann design, goes back to the early 1950s. I unfortunately don't have the Model 400 from them, from that time. This is a modern, contemporary Model 400 from the, I don't know, it's probably from the last 10 years. But they've been making this stripe design, and the stripe design comes actually from, it's named after a famous German Gustav Stresemann, who was a great statesman and key figure in the 1925 treaty or meeting of Locarno. He is famous for wearing striped trousers, although actually it's quite difficult. I have a hard time trying to find a picture of him in the striped trousers. I finally found one picture of them, but you can see the trousers better in some ads of men wearing those striped trousers. And at that time, it was unusual to wear what would have seemed a slightly casual outfit to such an important event, and it kind of became associated with him as a kind of trademark, and then it became a kind of fashion rage, and so you can see that this is sort of the stripe, green stripes, and they have blue stripes. This is on my other 800, and they also, I don't have one, but they have red stripes, and they've done brown. So this has become really the iconic element of Pelikan's pen line, and I've talked about this in other videos, but in a certain way it's both their success and their difficulty, because they're always, I think, trying to break out of this having only one kind of pen. How can they be more contemporary? And so I probably will be reviewing this soon. This is, for example, the Epic fountain pen, and you can see how it's trying to be both true to the tradition, but also break with not having the stripes, right? It's the other, of course, iconic element in these fountain pens is the wonderful clip, which looks like a pelican beak. And again, that is something that Pelikan both celebrates in a certain way, but also has tried to sort of break out of by coming up with different versions or different ways of sort of being true to the tradition, while at the same time seeming to be contemporary. I personally love their pens because they are so wonderfully classic looking and elegant without being, I don't know, they have a certain flair to them, that, they're not just black cigar shaped, right? They're very distinctive looking, and at the same time do look traditional and seem to have a kind of European elegance to them that I think is very distinctive. And so they, as I keep saying, they're my favorite pens. This one is chrome. So they tend to be a little different in terms of the caps, depending on the year and the model. But for in general, they're pretty similar, and they're just elegant, and they write really well. And then the other thing to say is they're all piston fillers. The piston all works really great. Pelikan invented the piston in the late 20s, and they've been going strong with it ever since. The great thing about their piston is that the pens all post, but when you turn them, if you by accident turn them, it doesn't turn the piston. That is really, really important, because some piston pens will post, but if you jiggle the cap, you turn the piston and then ink comes out. But that's not the case. It's designed in such a way so that's doesn't happen. So that's really great. They're reliable. The one that I have that is used is from 1997, so it's been going strong for over 20 years. So they're terrific. And so it's really just a matter in terms of the size. This is this really huge one. The 1000 is not too big. Of course, price. They're not inexpensive pens, but like a lot of the pen market, if you buy them in the United States, they tend to be more expensive, and but you, of course, get the benefit of the warranty. Um, you can sometimes get them from Japanese dealers or buy them used on eBay and get a good deal, but they can be quite pricey. But I think it's worth it, and they're not as expensive as, let's say, a Mont Blanc pen, and I think they're really beautiful. I think that's very distinctive in the way that they look. So anyway, what I'm going to do is do a writing sample of both the M800 that I have, the blue and the green one, to show you how the stub writes, and it's marvelous the way in which it's been customized. And I'm also going to do a drawing. For those of you who are new to fountain pens, I thought I'd just show you how the Piston works in terms of filling it. I'm using on this pen, which is my favorite pen, a Waterman inspired blue ink. In the world of fountain pens and vintage fountain pen people, this is the ink that is supposed to be the easiest on a pen, least likely to stain, least likely to cause problems. And it's been around for a very long time. It's actually a very pretty pen. So when you're going to fill the pen, this is a pen that has been cleaned, so there's no ink in it. That's very important. It's very hard. The worst thing about fountain pens is it's hard not to get ink on your hands. If you really want to be careful, you could get gloves and put them on, to get plastic gloves. I mean, the more you do it, the better, easier it is, but I'm always getting ink on my fingers. It's just part of the joy of it. Anyway, you stick it into the bottle, and the piston is all the way up, which actually pushes the piston down into the pen, and then as you turn it, it creates a vacuum in the pen which sucks the ink up into the pen. And then when it's closed, hopefully the ink has gone into the pen. And then now paper towels are very absorbent, so if you're going to use a paper towel, I know somebody uses leather for this part, keep in mind that it'll go right through the paper towel, so you need to have like layers if you don't want to get ink. That's one of the ways that I get ink on so I forget that, and it goes right through. You see, it went right through. So, but somehow or other, I did not get ink on my hands, and that should be it. Okay. It holds quite a lot of ink, and you can't really see this in the camera, but the barrel is translucent, and if you hold it up to the light, you can sort of see the ink sloshing around. If I was going to criticize anything, I would say that it's not as translucent as it could be. It's just so beautiful. It's a beautiful material, but it's not so great for actually showing you how much ink is in it. Pelikan has made many versions of this pen, including demonstrator versions of the pen that doesn't have the stripes. And if that's something that you care about and want to see how much ink it is, that's a good solution. Okay, so this is the 1997 pen. This has a medium nib in it. So this is the M800. 1997. It's quite a broad medium. It's a medium, but it's really writing like a broad. This is the Waterman inspired blue. This is Rhodia paper, and it writes very wet. Not a lot of line variation, but it has a nice bounce. Some line variation, but it's not a flex nib. I wouldn't push it too much. Very, very smooth. Writes like butter. Okay, so this is a more contemporary pen. This pen might be as much as 5 or 10 years old. And it has, I should say, a cursive italic nib. It's not a stub nib. Originally it was a double broad, and John Mottishaw made it into a cursive italic. And you should Google that to see the difference between. I mean, they're close. The stub has a slightly curved edges, while the italic is a little sharper. But what's nice about this cursive italic is that it actually writes very smoothly. This is Waterman Intense Black. Again, Rhodia paper. And this is the downstroke. This is the side stroke. So you have variation depending on how you write with it. And I really like drawing with a pen like this because it just gives you kind of a natural expressiveness. And I like writing with a pen like this because it just gives your handwriting a nice look. The quick, well, particularly my handwriting, which sucks. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So that's nice. It's a nice thing. Now, a lot of italic and stub nibs are scratchy, or they just have one place where they write really, really well. This one is just, it's just a dream. It's very hard to convey how wonderful this is. You know, this is the kind of joy of fountain pens, you know. And of course, what you're talking about here is a pen that lists, I don't know, at this point it can list as much as $600-700, and then if it's being customized, that can cost another $70. But I bought it used, Truth in Advertising, I bought it for $400, and that's a lot of money. But for all the pleasure that this gives me, you know, keep in mind, if you go to a really fancy restaurant with a bunch of people and you go a few times, that'll cost you $400, you know, and this will last you a lifetime if you take good care of it. So, and you could use this to write great ideas. And I love to think about, well, who was it that owned this pen? What did they use it for? I hope they were a nice person, or that they wrote smart things. But anyway, it is both a pleasure and a privilege to have something like this, which really is such a beautiful thing. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to support the channel, please don't forget to subscribe.